Hey there, restaurant pros. Are you looking for proven restaurant solutions to control your labor costs? I bet you are. Like, labor cost controls have been a challenge for us forever, since the beginning of time. But they're especially difficult today. With COVID-19 hitting us and changing our business model for many of us, reducing our sales and adding new positions to get food out to the curbside for our guests or delivery drivers, it's becoming harder and harder to make money. So controlling labor is more important today than it's ever been. But here's the deal. While controlling labor costs in the restaurant business hasn't really changed for decades, higher minimum wage mandates makes it even more critical that these solutions are in place. And to get results, a manager must be trained on what I call the 7 must-dos of controlling your labor cost. Now, if this topic interests you on any level, make sure you like this video. And while you're at it, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when my next video comes out. I'm David Scott Peters, creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and I get it, labor cost. It's tough. Like, when times were good, what do we complain about? Labor cost. Now that COVID-19 has hit us, and we're in the pandemic and sales are lower, and we have new business restrictions of whether we can open our dining rooms or not, or we've gone backwards, whether we're at 50% occupancy or we've gotten to 100% occupancy, the truth of the matter is labor is crushing us. Because we're adding new positions because we have these new business models, or we've adapted our restaurants to have to go, curbside pickup, and so on. We've seen our sales drop. We've gotten to a position where, gosh, you even have a bartender working unless we're reopening. Are we a state that has allowed us to reopen and not taken us backwards? Like, it's real challenging times. And in the future, when things are back to normal, guess what? Controlling labor is still a problem, right? So here's the deal. I'm going to teach you the 7 must-dos of controlling labor, and I want you to train your managers on these. To you, it may seem common sense. To you, the owner, to you, the general manager, a restaurant pro, an industry insider, somebody who's been doing this for years. You're like, duh, David, this is stupid. This is what we call common sense. Well, common sense ain't so common. And think about when you learned them. You made these dumbass mistakes and went, oh, I don't want to do that again. So why do we allow new managers to make the same dumbass mistakes you did that cost you money? How about we teach them? We standardize, systemize 7 things they can do to control labor costs. Let's go into them right now. Number 1, I want you to check that your staff is not clocking in too soon. See, here's the deal. If I'm a tipped employee, I'm going to work as few hours as possible and make tips. If you let me go home without doing side work, frick, I'm there. But as a cook, say for example, I get paid by the hour. So I've got to work every hour possible. So if I can learn to walk in the door and punch in a little bit earlier and have my shift meal, have a cigarette, and talk with people, get paid for it, I'm all for it. Maybe I've learned to go, hey chef, do you need some help? What does chef always say? Yes, chef always needs help, and allows you to punch in early. Well, you've got to pay attention. As the manager on duty, the front of house manager, you know what time people are supposed to come in. Go to the POS system, see that they're not clocking in too early. If they are, you need to punch them out and say, sit down and wait till your shift starts. Now, do know you cannot wipe out that time, but I can write you up if I need to get to that point. I'm going to start to warn you that that is not acceptable. Number 2, make sure your staff is not riding the clock. Again, using that server example, I'm in and out as fast as possible. But if I go to the cook example, how do I make money? More hours I work. So I'm nagging you all shift long. Cut me. Not like Rocky, right? The old people like, remember, cut me, I can't see. No, I want to go home. It's slow, it sucks. Nobody likes to be at work when it's slow. We love when it's busy. Cut me. Manager goes, okay, you're cut. What does that cook do? Shit, I need to milk the clock. I need to make the money I deserve. So I'm no longer working. I'm going to go have a cigarette. I'm going to have my shift meal. I'm going to talk with people, and the grill brick becomes, right? That grill brick becomes 10 tons. Like, hey, it's really slow. What are you doing this weekend? Chit chat. Because what I'm trying to do is draw things out so I get more minutes. I'm no longer working. I'm working for me. The truth is, your front of house managers need to have checklists to know how to break down that station, how long it should take, that they're coming back, they're going, let's move. You got to get out of here in 5 more minutes. You should be done. That's critical. Number 3, Audit your timekeeping, verifying your staff is not punching in the wrong job codes. Think about it. I'm a server trainer, 2 different wages, same person. I'm a bar back bartender, 2 different wages, same person. I'm a dishwasher and a prep cook, 2 different wages, same person. Doesn't matter what it is, how many people in your restaurant work multiple positions, different pay rates? Well, we need to make sure people are punching in at the right job codes. Let's say I'm Sally the server and I'm a trainer. Today I've got nobody to train. Look over each shoulder, no managers watching. I punch in as a trainer. I've got no trainees today. I get a higher wage. So nobody catches it. By the time it gets to payroll, whoever phones in payroll just looks at a number. It's hours. They don't know that they didn't work the right position. That's what I have managers for, to verify that day, that shift. So all of a sudden I'm getting paid more money working the same number of hours. I'm gonna do that all day long, right? We're teaching our employees how to steal by not paying attention. Instead, hey, Sally, you punched in as a trainer. You're not a trainer today. Oops, sorry. Well, now I've put her on warning. I see you. Do it again, I'm writing your ass up. Because what are you doing? When you punch in too early, when you ride the clock, when you punch in at the wrong job code, what are you doing? You are stealing. It is easier to steal from you at the time clock than anywhere else in your restaurant. Not cash in hand, not food in hand, not booze in hand. At the time clock, because we don't pay attention. You need to pay attention. That's why we're teaching our managers these 7 must-dos. Number 4, audit sales every hour, or when we're busy, every half hour. So imagine your restaurant is open back to 100% occupancy, and you are literally busy as hell. Well, we have certain times where we look out in the restaurant and we have a full restaurant. Let's say it's 9 o'clock at night on a Friday. Full, but people are eating desserts and drinking after dinner drinks. You haven't been doing any sales in the last hour, but you're busy, you look busy, you're not. See, when I pay attention to that, I know I should be cutting people. Hey, you watch Joe's section and you start working on your side work, right? You watch Joe, you do your side work. Now I'm getting ahead of the game. I'm getting people ahead of the game doing their side work, that when they get their last ticket and they're ready to go, they're out. I'm conserving my hours. Now, when we start looking at scheduling according to staff, right? Our staff according to sales, that's number 5. Do you know what happens here? Well, it's different. In the old days, which will hopefully be the future, we can sit there and say, hey man, we're seeing that we're adding an acoustic guitar player on a Wednesday. And our sales have been shifting from Thursday to Wednesday. But because we've been copying and pasting schedules, we've got overusing, right? Overscheduled on Thursday, underscheduled on Wednesday, because nobody's paying attention. We're not scheduling on purpose based on the sales we're expecting. Now there's a little bit of production there. Like in the kitchen, I'm gonna have all these hours on Monday because I had my ass handed to me on the weekend. I got all this prep to do on a Monday. But the truth of the matter is, when I come to my salespeople, it does really correlate, if you will, with my sales. Are we paying attention? This also goes now with COVID-19. Maybe now you've got new positions, runners, not food runners like in the old days where you go from the kitchen to the table, but people making sure to-go items are all matched up, the tickets are right, and they're run out to the curbside for the guests who are own delivery drivers or delivery service. And so if you know you expect to be busier at certain times, you can schedule according to those sales. Now, what about number 6? Avoid overtime at all costs, with one exception. And this is really tough, I get it. We went from we couldn't find employees to today where there's millions of people unemployed, and we still can't get them coming into work because, depending on what Congress does, at the end of July, we're finally losing the $600 extra. Now, while I believe that is important for the single mom that needed to be home with their kids who are now homeschooled, right? That $600 is a lifeline. But sometimes for an 18-year-old that doesn't have a family, still living under their parents' roof, that $600 was getting them to stay home. Why do I want to go to work? I'm making more money sitting on my ass. Well, let's hope that our economy comes back. And we're getting to a point where our sales are coming back. But the fact of the matter is, when we're understaffed and our overtime goes up, or we schedule overtime on purpose, understand that's time and a half. That half time is your money, owner. You literally, if you were staffed properly, scheduled properly, all that halftime you had over the last 12 months is money that would have been in your back pocket, your bank account, you could pay your bills with or pay yourself. And so it is important to control overtime. Now there's the one exception, and that's this. You've got a major event. I work with a restaurant that's near the golf course in Augusta, Georgia. The Masters comes in every year. Well, their sales go through the roof, and they don't have enough people to handle these volumes, so their overtime goes through the roof. Well, the truth of the matter is sales are so high that even though there's overtime, the labor cost doesn't jump. But here's the deal. I'm not going to go out and train a whole group of new employees for a 1-week event. So there are times where efficiency is overtime. Use your head, double check your numbers. Last but not least, number 7, make selection and training a priority. This is critical. All too often, restaurants, what do? We just hire anybody. Now, hopefully, with all these people unemployed, the positive for us is we find good people. But I'm going to tell you, I think we make bad people. We don't find bad people, we make them. Because we don't select properly, they don't meet our company culture. And number 2, we don't have training systems. We don't teach them what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, more importantly by when. Instead, we give them the magic frickin' apron and say, bling, tie it on them, bling, you're a server, you know what to do. Wrong. You've got to make selection and training a priority. Why? When I have well-trained people, I reduce mistakes. I reduce workers' comp claims. I reduce the number of hours it takes to train people. I reduce my costs. But I also reduce the opportunities to lose sales because I put out a shitty product and give bad service. And those customers tell thousands of people on Yelp, on TripAdvisor, on Facebook, you name it. So what do we have to do? 1, check that your staff's not clocking in too soon. 2, make sure your staff is not riding the clock. 3, audit your timekeeping, making sure people are punching in the right job codes. 4, audit your sales every hour, if not half hour. 5, schedule according to sales. 6, avoid overtime at all costs, with one exception. And 7, make selection and training a priority. These are things that seem like common sense to you because you've made these dumbass mistakes. But we have new managers all the time learning how to schedule, to control labor. And you have to teach. Impose your will without being there. This is basically checklisting those things that you pay attention to, second nature. So you want to take control of your labor cost, make sure you teach them the 7 must-dos of controlling labor cost. Now, if you want to learn more restaurant solutions like these and how to get your managers to do the work, sign up for my free 4-part video learning series where I go into all this in more depth. The link is in the description below. Also, be sure to subscribe to my weekly tips and watch these 2 videos to learn more restaurant solutions.